Do you want to do the introduction for once? Okay, this is Alzheimer's, What They Forget to Tell You, episode 12. 13?
Episode 13, podcast 12.
So confusing. Okay. So, what are you going to say? You're going to wait for a few seconds?
No. Hi, Sandy.
So you're going to just say hi to everyone who watches?
Yes.
Okay, that's nice. That's very nice and
Hi
cordial.
to everybody who's watching, and thank you for joining us again for this week. So, we are going to cover a few things this evening, and hopefully we can do this quickly because, like I've mentioned in all of our previous podcasts, they have kind of rendered on the longer side.
Why are you so, what's with that? So, I like it, but like, what's with that?
Melania, hello?
It's
Betty.
Milena. Oh my God.
Melania. Melena, hello?
She's not Russian.
Betty. Hi, Betty.
Hi, Betty.
Is that
Yeah,
Betty?
that's
Betty?
Betty.
Oh,
That's
that's
Betty,
Betty.
Betty.
Betty. Hi, Betty. She probably just remembers me like my daughter's age, but anyway.
Yeah.
What are we covering today?
Can you speak up like you normally talk?
What? Well, no, because the kids just were put to bed.
Okay.
Children under 10. School day.
Because, you know, like we're so professional. We're in a recording studio.
Okay, so what are we covering today?
We're covering today, I saw on your, she does remember, you see, we don't have Alzheimer's. Betty and I, we don't have Alzheimer's. We're good.
I don't like these kind of jokes.
Yes.
But anyway, we're going to move that right along. I remember, Betty, too. You're in all of these pictures, like, I think it was Jason's prom. Did she take, were you guys getting Jason ready for prom and stuff?
I have no idea. She's
Anyway.
been around.
She was your pretty friend. I was like, it's your pretty friend.
So,
Shh, leave it.
did you hear that, Betty? She said you were my pretty friend. Love you too.
Okay.
Okay, so we were, Wendy posted something on your page about grief.
Yes, today, yes.
And I read it, and it was very timely. So I wanted to talk to you about it
Okay.
and your thoughts. But I also wanted to tie it into what we're talking about.
Okay.
So why did you feel to post that today?
Okay, so for the new viewers, people who haven't really been following, I lost my dad 2 years ago, and it wasn't due to Alzheimer's, but I lost him nevertheless. It was my first time, fortunately, and I say fortunately because going through grief or death is never easy, so the fact that I was lucky enough to have him for 36 years, I feel very fortunate. I'm gonna cry.
Okay. So she's going through this grieving process, and in the last 2 years, as if anyone who's lost anyone, it comes in waves. Unfortunately, I've lost my father, and that was 16 years ago. And I was talking to my cousin earlier and saying how Alzheimer's, dealing with somebody with Alzheimer's, the grieving process is continuous. So you go through it, even though the person's still alive, you are grieving every single day because you're losing a part of them. And I feel like I've been going through this grieving process coming up to 18 years. But worse in the last 2 because my mom's at the end stages. So every day it's like tumultuous. Like I call my life tentative. Like that's how I feel. Like everything's tentative. I can't make a serious plan because it's contingent on how my mom's doing. So that's why I wanted to talk about grieving.
Okay, and it's still hard to talk about, like anything else. I don't know if it's ever going to get easier. I don't have experience in this. I just know the wave that I try to ride every day. Some days it's easy. Some days it's not. Some days it's really clear and it's dark and I feel, like helpless to my knees. There's other days where I feel empowered and strong and I feel my dad with me and I'm, I'm inspired, and like there's just so many different spectrums to all of it. And really, again, if there's been any advice that I could give to anybody that's lost a loved one or that is going through the process of seeing somebody that they love, die, whether it's cancer or through a disease like this, Alzheimer's or anything else, it's, there's no specific textbook encyclopedia answer. It's so unique. Everybody's journey is so different. Everybody's wave is going to be so different, and everybody deals with these things differently. And so this is why I think this article was one that hit home for me today, and I really felt the need to share it on my wall. And just to be clear, most of the stuff that I share on my wall is never really for anybody else's anything outside of if it just hits something for me. I don't do those things for likes. I do it because I like it. So if it can touch or help or affect somebody else in a positive way, then I feel even better for it. I came across this article today. A friend of mine that I went to high school with recently lost her dad, and she posted it on her wall. So when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this reigns really true for me in terms of my truth and my journey and what I've gone through and my experience. And so, again, that's another reason why I did.
Well, that's why when I read it touched me only because basically we can do like a summary of the article, which was, what stood out was that grief is death is a date, grief is the calendar, and that was like powerful to me. And they were speaking of like, you have a lot of support at the funeral. When someone just dies, there's always somebody supporting you and taking care of you and being around you. And then, of course, when the funeral is over,
people change. The
support dissipates, and people become just go back to their regular scheduled program. And unfortunately, that's how it is dealing with Alzheimer's. And I think it's kind of, I saw some parallels where people just don't know what to say, people don't know how to support you, and they were saying that just to be mindful because of that same saying that death is a date, but grief is a calendar, so that it's a continuous process.
Yes. And
that if you really want to be supportive to that person, it should be
continuous.
That's right.
And again, what reigns true for me, and I said this in previous podcasts, that some people showed up in my life that I never expected. Like, I'm talking people that weren't really day one friends, or that were regular, consistent friends. People that were acquaintances, sure, or people that weren't really that close. They were there. By my side, even up to now. It's consistent checking in. How are you? How are you feeling? Everything okay? I'm saying a prayer for you. I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of your dad. People that I really thought, family, whatever that means. People who...
Lori saying 6 months later.
Yeah.
Yes, that face.
Yeah. And again, I'm 2 years in, so...
And I'm 16.
Yeah. And ongoing, right? So... this type of thing really opens your eyes up to who people are to you, for you, how they show up for you. I don't hold anything against anybody who wasn't able to make it to the funeral. I know a lot of people sent their love, their prayers, their healing, everything throughout different realms and just could not make it to the funeral, and that's fine. And to be honest with you, if you guys took the time to read this article, that entire day was a blur for me. Like, there's times where I sit down with my mom and I try to recap the day, and there's so much of it that my brain just like deleted and doesn't remember. And there's been some friends of mine that were like, I haven't seen you since the funeral, and I'm like, you were there? Like, I just, it's amazing how that entire thing, those 3 days of the wake, the funeral, the burial, all of these things were just pushed out of my brain or my psyche, I guess maybe as a protection mechanism. I don't know. Again, I've never gone through it before. This is my first experience, but you know, this type of thing that happens to people really defines you. It's a defining moment in your life. And
Oh, no, I read it. It's just, she has homework. So
Okay. Sorry. I'm like, what is that? Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the type of moments in life that are defining moments. And, you know, you get to really know who your tribe is. You get to really know who the people who really have your back. And it's not for the day of and the day like surrounding right after the person passes away. It's months after. It's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 16 years after.
17 years.
Right? It doesn't stop. It doesn't change. It doesn't, you know, just because the time has gone by, it doesn't make it at times easier. And I wish I could say that saying is real, that time heals all. In my case, and most cases in terms of people that, you know, I speak to that's lost a loved one, they feel the same, that the void is still there.
No, I just think you learn to live with it. I don't think it heals. I don't think you get over it.
You don't.
I think you just learn a little
how
bit.
to cope.
Yeah, every day gets a little bit, you get a little bit stronger. That's it.
And I would agree with that on a certain level too, but I find, you know, even having conversations with my mom, you know, the more time that passes, it almost feels like it's more time